Kick-ass facts! Pew, 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 pew! Let's talk about some mishaps. Let's start with NASA's Mars Climate Orbiter, 1999. After almost 10 months of travel to Mars, the Mars Climate Orbiter burned and broke into a bunch of pieces. A $125 million mission failed because the teams used two different units of measurement. One team used the metric system and the other used imperial units. This caused the Mars Orbiter, Climate Orbiter, it's a long name, to be destroyed when a navigation error caused it to miss its target altitude at Mars by 80 to 90 kilometers. The Theric 25 radiation therapy machine is a computer-controlled radiation therapy machine. It was involved in at least 6 accidents between 1985 and 1987 in which some patients were given massive overdoses of radiation. Because of concurrent programming errors, it sometimes gave its patients radiation doses that were hundreds of times greater than normal, resulting in death or serious injury. Phrenology, from the early 19th century, was a pseudoscientific belief that the shape and size of a person's skull could determine their character and mental abilities. It's based on the concept that the brain is an organ of the mind and that certain brain areas have localized specific functions or modules. It was said that the brain was composed of different muscles so that those muscles that were used more were bigger, resulting in different skull shapes. The brain muscles not being used as frequently remained small and were therefore not present on the exterior of the skull. Despite a lack of evidence, phrenology became widely accepted for a while, leading to discrimination based on skull measurements. By comparing skulls of different ethnic groups, it was thought to allow for a ranking of races from least to most evolved. Trofim Lysenko played an active role in the famines that killed millions of people, and his practices prolonged and exacerbated food shortages. Lysenko rejected established genetic science in favor of politically appealing but unproven agricultural methods. He forced farmers to plant seeds very close together according to his law of the life of species. Plants from the same class never compete with one another, leading to widespread crop failures because he was very wrong. The People's Republic of China adopted his method starting in 1958, contributing to the Great Chinese Famine of 1959 to 1962, in which some 15 to 55 million people died. This is a shining example of not choosing politics over science. The Ford fuel tank design of the 1970s. In April 1974, the Center for Auto Safety petitioned for a recall of Ford Pintos due to defects in the design of the strap on the gas tank, which made it susceptible to leakage and fire in low to moderate speed collisions. A rear-end collision could cause the car to explode. The center's petition was based upon reports from attorneys of 3 deaths and 4 serious injuries. On June 9, 1978, Ford Motor Company agreed to recall 1.5 million Ford Pinto and 30,000 Mercury Bobcat sedan and hatchback models. It took 4 years because Ford prioritized cost-cutting over safety, and internal memos revealed that they calculated the cost of paying out settlements was cheaper than fixing the design. The Love Canal environmental disaster of 1978. In 1890, the Love Canal was created as a model planned community, but was only partially developed. In the 1920s, the canal became a dump site for municipal refuse for the city of Niagara Falls. In the 1950s, thanks to poor oversight of hazardous waste disposal and lack of environmental regulation at the time, the Hooker Chemical Company dumped toxic chemicals into the unfinished canal near Niagara Falls, New York. Years later, houses and schools were built on top of the landfill. Decades of dumping toxic chemicals killed residents and harmed the health of hundreds, often profoundly. The area was cleaned up over 21 years. The de Havilland Comet aircraft crashes of the 1950s. The world's first commercial jetliner, the de Havilland Comet, suffered several catastrophic mid-air explosions due to metal fatigue. Engineers failed to anticipate how repeated pressurization and depressurization would cause stress on the aircraft's metal fuselage. By 1954, 7 of the Comets had crashed under unknown circumstances. Since only 21 had been built, the 1/3 failure rate was considered catastrophic.